Welcome friends. This is a session on library and information networks. These days libraries cannot stand in isolation. You cannot think of libraries serving their users alone. They have to depend on other libraries and information agencies. We are living in the information age. A library cannot think of serving its users on the basis of the material that it holds. It is not able to serve the users from the print-based material and the digital material that it has access to. It depends on other libraries and information institutions. Therefore, we are going to discuss library and information networks that exist to really help libraries to serve their users far and wide using these information networks. This is a session that would be of use in particular to the Bachelors of Library and Information Science students, and particularly for the course BLI 221, Libraries, Information and Society. Though this is a topic that you will be discussing and studying in other courses also, and there you will be studying from the technological aspects. Here we will be studying from the sociological aspects, information resources aspect, information services aspect. Otherwise, this could be of use to anyone who is interested in libraries, information sources, and library and information science as a discipline. So what we intend to discuss today is that we'll be describing what is a library and information network. We'll be defining library information network from some authentic sources. We'll go on to discuss these library information networks, particularly the Indian library information networks. We'll be discussing their services, what are their objectives, and how they have been expanding as far as their resources and services are concerned, and how they are serving the society and users and readers from different types of information sources that include print sources, digital sources, and even institutional and individuals as sources. So let us begin with the concept of this library and information network. As we had discussed about resource sharing during our last discussion, we have really realized, yes, we need a library information network when we intend to share digital information across institutions, across libraries, across information systems. So a library and information network, if we try to understand conceptually, it is two or more libraries joining hands to form a system and help each other with the information needs of their users. These libraries and information systems could be serving different types of users, or even if the similar type of users, these users could be belonging to different institutions, different regions, even different countries. So they serve such users. Let us see an authentic definition, as I was telling you, of information networks as given by UNICIST. Let me read it out for you, because this is an important definition which should really guide us about knowing these library and information networks. I quote from the definition: a set of interrelated information systems. See, we have already talked of information systems. I again read from the definition. I quote: a set of interrelated information systems associated with communication facilities, which are cooperating through more or less formal agreements and institutional agreements in order to jointly implement information handling operations with a view to pooling their resources and to offer better services to the users. They generally follow identical or compatible rules and procedures, unquote. So you see, it's quite an exhaustive and extensive definition, and it covers different information systems which have formal agreements and they jointly work. Therefore, while working jointly, they pool their resources and the objective is to offer better services and better resources to their users, and they also follow identical and compatible rules and procedures. You know, without following identical and compatible rules and procedures, they'll not be able to work together. They'll not be able to work in tandem. They'll not be able to share the resources. I have just summarized this definition here in this particular slide. If you see here, it says that it is a group of libraries having a common focus. This focus could be subject, it could be an area, it could be a group of users, types of users, or it could also be a particular geographical area. So it could be a subject area or also could be a geographical area. When we say geographical area, we are basically intending to mention a particular type of network, and these are called metropolitan area networks or regional networks or international networks. Now, within that definition, what we could see is that these networks have a common communication system. In fact, they have a communication system. Without a communication system, they'll not be able to cooperate. They'll not be able to interact. They'll not be able to share. Therefore, this is the first essential component of a information network or a library information network, that they have to have a communication system. They form an information system. Without forming an information system in a true sense, in a formalized way, they'll not be able to plan the services. They are not joined. They are not just connected. They have a goal. They have certain objectives in mind. Accordingly, they plan their services, routines, procedures, operations. Therefore, for that, they have formed an information system. They share their resources and services. Without sharing, the objective cannot be satisfied. And they follow common procedures and rules. As we have seen in the definition, without following common procedures and rules, they'll not be able to share their resources. Compatibility has to be there. Commonality has to be there. Now, let us come to the objectives of a library information network. What does a library information network intend to achieve? What are its objectives? What are its goals? Now, if you see here on your slide, the first and foremost objective is acquisition of e-resources at reduced rates. While we were discussing resource sharing, we had discussed that libraries intended to share their resources, and while sharing these in interlibrary loan, these resources were basically print-based. But now when we are talking of the digital information that does not know any boundaries, we are basically, the first objective of information networks is acquisition of e-resources, and I have intentionally added here at reduced rates, because you know the e-resources that exist today, they are highly priced. Libraries are not able to afford these resources. They find it difficult. With every passing year, budgets are diminishing, rates are increasing, users need these resources. They in fact want more resources with every passing year. Therefore, the first objective of these library information networks is to acquire these e-resources at reduced rates. So they join hands, they come together that they want to get these resources at concessional rates. So resource sharing is an objective. They want to share their resources, and these resources are not just limited to the reading resources or e-resources and other type of resources, but also human resources, technical expertise, as we had been discussing at length during our previous discussions when we had discussed about resource sharing. If they want to share their resources, another objective of these library and information networks is to develop union catalogs. Without union catalogs, these libraries would not know what the other libraries possess. So they should be knowing these, and for this, one of the objectives of these networks is to develop union catalogs. And without this, it's not possible. Help in library automation. Libraries are at different stages of automating their procedures, routines, and services. You cannot think of a library not being automated today. In countries, in advanced countries, in developing countries, in underdeveloped countries, libraries are being automated. In fact, it is realized that a library cannot serve its users during the present times without automating its procedures and services. Therefore, one of the objectives of these library information networks is to help libraries to automate themselves, because they with their experience, with their expertise, they would like the other libraries to be helped so that they are able to automate themselves. Now, during automation, you cannot do it suddenly in just one click, or it cannot be done like that. It has to be done in phases. And during this concept, while doing so, a concept that has emerged is called retroconversion. So these library information networks, they intend to help libraries in retroconversion also. Now, what is this retroconversion? While libraries automate their resources, they generally plan for it, and while planning for it, they find it convenient. It has also been said in the literature that you should plan to automate your current resources first. Your current information resources, your current documents that you are acquiring, they can be automated while they are being acquired. While those which were acquired earlier, the earlier documents, the earlier information resources that the libraries have, they can be done with time, slowly, and that is what is referred to as retroconversion. Retro means old one, back volumes. Those which had existed earlier had not been automated. You would like to automate those also and catalog those, and therefore prepare data sheets and make them ready for automation. Therefore, this is what is referred to retroconversion. This is also one of the objectives of a library information networks, to help libraries do this. Develop databases. We have already said that union catalogs are required, but then libraries have been preparing databases. If you think of the term bibliographies, indexes, similarly, while you are automating these, while you are referring to digital resources, while you are referring to networking your libraries, you prepare databases. These databases are not limited to libraries alone. They could be of different types. They could be on different subjects. They could be on different problems to solve. And they could be full text. They could be bibliographic. They could be statistical. They could be biographic, or they could be individual centric, as we were mentioning about sharing information about the human resources. So different types of databases have to be developed, and this is one of the objectives of a library information network, to help develop these databases, or in fact develop these databases. That is also an objective. Now, when you help them to acquire digital information, for that, a service that libraries provide is called document delivery service. There is a concept of current awareness services, selective dissemination of information services, which you have been studying. And you all know that while providing these services, a library would really not be helping the users if they are not able to provide the document per se that the user wants. You may provide the agencies, you may provide the media to access, but they would like to have that document also. So for that, document delivery service is also one of the objectives of any library information network. Rationalization of acquisition is also important. As we have been talking about providing equitable access to information, seeing and really trying to see that everyone has access to information. It should not be imbalanced. It should be balanced as far as institutions are concerned, as far as people are concerned, as far as regions are concerned. Therefore, any library information network also would like to have rationalized acquisition of resources so as to have optimal expenses, and also seeing that no one is starved of information. Every user his or her information in the minimum time with the minimum resources being spent on these acquisition of these resources. We continue with the objectives. The very important objective, as we have said about compatibility, that without compatibility, libraries and information networks would not be able to share resources among the participating institutions. For that, protocols have to be developed, standard protocols, guidelines, methods, procedures for storing information, organizing information, transmitting information, exchanging information, as well as preserving information. You know, we are doing it not only for today, but also for tomorrow. We are not only doing it for the users today, but also for posterity. So therefore, we need to have ways and methods, ways and means to preserve this information. So for that, library information networks have an objective to develop protocols, guidelines, standards for all these. Communication among the member institutions is important, and this is one of the objective of any library information network. Now, you have technology enabled services, but then you would like to train your staff, your people who are engaged in providing these services, as well as users in the use of this information communication technology. So these are another two objectives of any library information network: to provide training to the users in the effective use of services, to provide training to information professionals, library and information science professionals in the information communication technologies that are involved in automation, in digitization, in providing ICT based services, web enabled services, so that people are really able to utilize this information that exists. So up to now, we have understood what is a library information network. We have also understood what are the areas of commonality, what are the objectives. Now let us move on to the characteristics of a library information network. As we have mentioned, the first and foremost characteristic is that it provides equitable access to information. It is very important. We are talking of equitable access to information as a characteristic of the information society, of the knowledge society, and therefore libraries have to ensure this. They being one of the most important agencies in this information world, in the information age that we are living. Therefore, they ensure equitable access, and this is one of the characteristic of a library information network. There should be no divides. There should be no digital divides. There should be no information divides between the users. Members are interdependent. This is very important, that the members depend on each other. They use standards and protocols, as we have mentioned. As we had mentioned, that they have formalized structures, they are formalized information systems. Therefore, the decisions taken by the executive committee are binding on all the members. They provide a broad range of library services, the library information networks. They create centralized databases, and these databases are created and designed with input from all the members. Therefore, there are interfaces for data input so that the members are able to contribute to these databases. These networks are also connected to each other, and they also are engaged in research and development in library information services. Now, the human resources are also connected to each other. There are online databases that they develop, and these are of both types, developed by the institutions in-house, and there are external databases also that could be designed by database providers, by other agencies. They have infrastructure regarding computing, storing, telecommunication, hardware, software. Data network is an important characteristic. Without data network, they'll not be able to communicate. They'll not be able to transmit information. Therefore, that is another characteristic of library information network, another component of library information network. They have large membership. You know, largeness is important because that cost effectiveness and cost benefit are very important. We have already discussed during our past session that there are different types of library information networks, and one of the characteristic on the basis of these types is geographical. On the basis of geographical type, they could be metropolitan area networks, there could be regional networks, there could be national networks, there could be international networks. So they have different scope. A metropolitan area network serves that metropolitan city. Regional network serves the region. National network serves the nation. And international network is international in scope. It is there over and above all these networks, guiding them, supporting them, and also helping them. Now, as we were mentioning about the types of networks, the slide that we just showed was as far as these networks are divided on the basis of geographical regions. The another type of characteristic on the basis of which we could divide these library information networks is on the basis of the types of services that they provide, the types of resources that they have. And according to that, one of the types of library information networks is that which subscribes to e-resources. You know, there could be an overlap. These characteristics on the basis of which we divide these networks may be common to two or more networks. So while we say so, doesn't mean that there are specific exclusive networks for these types. Therefore, when I say a type of network which subscribes to e-resources, doesn't mean that it does that only. There might be some networks which may have more important objectives as some other function. Most of the library information networks have this objective as the primary objective, that is subscribe to e-resources. In fact, when you talk of a library information network, immediately what comes to your mind is subscribing to e-resources. So you just cannot think of a library information network which does not subscribe to e-resources, because the e-resource is the primary source of information today, and it is little difficult to acquire also because of the increasing costs and other complexities, the subscription models and handling these providers who are providing these e-resources. Therefore, a library information network does subscribe to e-resource. Another type of library information network is a umbrella or supermarket type of network. It has all fields and multitude of services, different types of services. That is why we said it is a supermarket type of category, and the OCLC, Online Library Center, which is very well known, we all know it. This is an example of this category. Bibliographic utility networks. This is another type of network which provides bibliographic records. Again, here OCLC is an example. Now, online search service providers. This is also a network which provides online search service. But then, as I was mentioning, that you don't have exclusive networks. You have networks that provide all these, that have all these features. But then, if you talk of history, which we should know as students also, therefore, we have these databases which provide online information access, which in fact, though are history as far as the services today of library information networks are concerned, but they are very important and we should know about them, like Dialog and Orbit, with which we started providing online search services and providing access to information at a distance. Similarly, the another category of library information network is those which are really belong to the category of service center. They provide online information retrieval service, acting as a distributor or aggregator for online databases, and this one example is ELINet here. So now you would be quite clear that we have talked of we started with the concept of a library information network. We talked of the definition from a very authentic source, and then we went on to discussing the objectives of a library information network. Then we discussed the characteristics of library information networks. What are the characteristic components of a library information networks? Then we moved on to different types of library information networks, and we began with those which are divided on the basis of geographical area that they serve. This geographical area could be a metropolitan city only that they are serving, and in fact it began with that because of the limitations of technology and also the limitation of the libraries. But then though metropolitan area networks still exist and very successfully are serving the users, but then these days you have networks that are based on the types of subject and other types also. Then we have talked of the different types based on the services that they provide, and then moving further, we now move on to the activities and services of these library information networks. As we were mentioning about acquiring e-resources, therefore they do collective acquisition. They acquire for all. That is what is collective acquisition, so that they are able to do it in a cost-effective way and also guide different types of libraries so as to have resources for them in the best prices possible, providing them authentic and those resources which are really authentic in nature, reliable in nature. They do cooperative cataloging also, because this also has to be standardized. Therefore, they do cooperative cataloging. They create databases, so they provide database services. They also provide document delivery services. That is also very important. And while serving the different types of libraries, we have mentioned about document delivery, and while doing so, this is in fact an interlibrary loan service that is also possible. So document delivery from service providers and also sharing their resources with each other, and these could be not only print resources, not only electronic resources, these could also be print resources. So this is another activity or service that library information networks are doing, that they provide interlibrary loan service. In fact, some of the networks have specialized in this area. We'll be talking about their services in detail in our next session, and they also provide digital reference service. So the reference service has changed its form, and the service is being provided on the basis of digital information, digital documents, and it is online in nature. So this is another service and activity of library and information networks. So they share their collection. They also share a core collection, without which these libraries could not really exist. If they are on a common subject or in a common area, they identify a core collection. So they share their core collection. They have joint archives also. As we were mentioning, that one of the objectives of these library information networks is to preserve information for later generations, and therefore they need to have archives. Not every library will have its own archive, but these library information networks have an archive for the different institutions that are participating. They have digital libraries also, providing access to institutional repositories. They train users and LIS professionals. They provide technology support also. That could be as far as it is related to hardware, to software, open source software. And they also enable sharing of ideas and information amongst participating institutions. And they have listservs for that, website for that. So this is all that they do. So we'll be discussing different types of library information networks in our future sessions, and till then we should be now with our discussion today be very clear that what these library and information networks exist for, why they exist, what they want to achieve, what are their objectives, what are their characteristics, what are their services, what are their different types. We'll be discussing the services of these library information networks in detail in our future sessions. Thank you.